This video should be pretty interesting to watch because I go to Finland every winter, so I think I would know what cold is. But it's titled British Blizzards Ain't Got Nothing on America. So let's see what this video is about. I'm excited. He doesn't look very happy in this first picture, but let's see.
Well, it's that time of year again when America becomes a desolate hellscape. And as of 5 minutes ago, my weather alerts are saying that there's a blizzard heading straight for Chicago. Wait, no, 5 hours ago.
But back when I lived in Britain, a blizzard was a bit like the census. You only had to worry about it once every 10 years.
In Chicago, I'm already on my 4th blizzard in 8, and that excludes trips to Dairy Queen. I'm Lawrence, and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to buzzards. Blizzards.
See, I don't really know that I've lived through a blizzard, like an actual snowstorm. Or I can't remember. Every time I've been to Finland in the wintertime, especially in southern Finland, it's like more like just like, it's snowing. It's pretty like calm, not really blizzardy. If that makes sense.
And since you are likely snowed in yourself, why not begin your new binge? If you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, do that now. In the meantime, allow me to give you insight into North American blizzards while simulating one. It's the best I could do at such short notice. The truth is, while winters are generally getting less severe in the Windy City, I still consider blizzards a staple of Midwestern winters. It's perhaps fitting then that the very word blizzard skyrocketed in use following one particular Midwestern season. The hard winter of 1880 to 1881. And if you think I'm being hyperbolic, that's literally what the event identifies as on Wikipedia. Basically, the Great Plains, which the Census Bureau somehow defines as Midwestern, endured a winter storm that continued on and off for 6 months. I bet Laura Ingalls Wilder's parents were like, I hope you're taking notes. And she was.
For 6 months?
The storm was so bad that Wilder recalled it 60 years later in her book, The Long Winter. But whether it was long or hard, it was extremely cold, to the extent that none of the men felt comfortable making sex jokes out of this sentence. Sections of the Transcontinental Railroad were completely buried. Even Frances Bourgeois would have been mad about that. As Wilder herself wrote in The Long Winter,
Railroads, they're good to have, but the trouble is, folks get to depend on them.
Some more than others. Many set up their lives within reach of the railroad in order to receive critical shipments. During the hard winter, those very often never came. Clearly, in 2024, blizzards aren't the same problem they once were, especially since I have central heating and a Prius. But as somebody who grew up in the Seattle of Europe, Midwestern blizzards are still a shock to the system. Firstly, they bring a lot of snow in a very short space of time. Secondly, you receive weather alerts that are so poorly formatted it looks like the storm hit them. And after reading it for the 7th time, I managed to glean the following information. Number 1, there will be heavy snow. I think we got that memo. Number 2, travel could be very difficult to impossible. Which is all good and well to...
I mean, this is like every winter in Finland, especially when you go to like the northern side. Your car gets, filled with snow. Everything's just filled with snow. The roads are filled with snow. But they do keep them in pretty good conditions usually, so you can get around. But there's a lot of snow. But I just think blizzard is more like when it's like windy and snowing, right? Like it's like more like a snowstorm. Do I know what a blizzard is?
Note while sipping coffee in the comfort of your new studio. Less so when your home is 100 miles away and you're sitting in the passenger seat of a Prius. But that is what happened to me and my wife in northern Indiana exactly a few years ago approximately. We had taken a once-in-a-lifetime vacation to the bountiful kingdom of Indianapolis. By then, nothing more than a snow-covered dystopia. After our stay came and went, we braved the snow, still relatively light at this point, and headed back to Chicago. All seemed to be going well until we pulled into a McDonald's, which is where my problems always seem to start. And as I bit into my filet-o-fish, something didn't feel right. And I'm not just talking about the bones. A poorly formatted alert entered my inbox bearing the words, "Travel could be very difficult to impossible." And at that very moment, almost as if I'd embellished the timing of it to move the story along, the snow went completely and utterly a little bit silly. The cars in front became invisible, which between that and the slippery roads probably accounted for several accidents. Thankfully, we were not among them. As traffic slowed down to a crawl, or in some cases a slide, we found ourselves having to make a decision. Press on to Chicago, knowing we wouldn't be home until June, or pull over and wait out the storm at Denny's. We did the latter, even if our server Debbie wasn't happy that I'd snuck in McNuggets. 1 hour and 1,246 calories later, the snow halted and we slowly made our way home. Until today,
I wonder, do you change your tires to winter tires when it's winter so that you don't like slide as easy on the ice? Or do you just have like the same tires all year round?
not told anybody that story, except for Debbie, who offered her sympathies in no way whatsoever. Of course, snow isn't even the worst part of a blizzard. The worst part about blizzards is the use of the word snowmageddon by American news anchors, but it's also the wind. Because something that I didn't tell you about today's poorly formatted weather alert is that it predicted that the wind would reach 45 miles per hour. Whether or not this was accurate doesn't matter, because once the winds exceed 25, your face begins to hate you. Between the snow, the wind, and concerned calls from my Aunt Cynthia, it's easy to forget the most exciting part: the degree to which the snow settles. And when I say most exciting part, I'm really paraphrasing my dog Arthur, who is under the mistaken belief that all of this is the greatest thing that has ever happened. What he doesn't know is that it's us humans who have to deal with the fallout, whether it's shoveling off the balcony over concerns it may collapse into the mudroom below. I've just realised that I've been dropping all of this snow onto our outdoor grill. Or remembering the exact location of ankle-breaking potholes that this adorable little created, or figuring out a plan for when all of this melts. Because something that I forgot to mention about the hard winter of 18...
I mean, this just sounds like typical winter. At least in Finland. I mean, I thought blizzards was gonna be something more aggressive. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of snow. And I also think it probably depends on the area of America you're in, right? Or does all America get snow in the wintertime? No, right? That would be odd. I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe you guys do. Somebody let me know.
81 is that, much like the trains, it came to a grinding halt. Spring very suddenly brought about warm temperatures, and the people most affected by the blizzards now had to contend with widespread flooding. So I just hope that Sunday isn't unseasonably warm, otherwise my basement might leak a little bit. I have good news and bad news.
The good news is my basement's fine.
The bad news is my basement is fine because it is minus 9 degrees Fahrenheit outside. For context, that's 9 degrees more frigid than London's coldest ever temperature. In Chicago, this is known as an annual tradition. And that brings me on to my own annual tradition, which is to tell my audience that despite everything, I'm going to embrace winter.
What did he say?
Good news is my basement's fine.
The bad news is my basement is fine because it is minus 9 degrees Fahrenheit outside. For context, that's 9 degrees more frigid than London's coldest ever temperature.
Minus 9 degrees Fahrenheit. How much is that in Celsius? Wait. Hold on. Minus 9 Fahrenheit in Celsius. Yes, you are going to wait all this time while I look for this. I'm sorry. It is. Oh my god, why is my internet so slow? It is approximately minus 22 degrees. Yeah. It's cold. Finland.
In Chicago, this is known as an annual tradition. And that brings me on to my own annual tradition, which is to tell my audience that despite everything, I'm going to embrace winter this year. Well, that ends today. No more toxic positivity, no more, isn't snow fun? I've had it. Instead, I'm going to embrace misery. Cold, hard misery. Thanks for watching. No, I'm being told we can't finish with that. back to Lawrence in the audio booth. Thanks, Lawrence. Now, January might be the Satan of calendar months, but if those who experienced the hard winter of 1881 were still alive today, it would be a miracle because nobody lives that long. But if they were, they'd probably marvel at how far we've come in weather preparedness, and how we in the 21st century take for granted electricity and heating systems because we've never known anything different, and how the American office should have finished after Michael left. I mean, that's got nothing to do with this, but they would think that. Anyway, for the first time in as many days, I'm sitting here in my basement hiding from sub-zero temperatures. If you are doing the same thing or happen to be impacted by the big freeze, I raise an invisible glass to you and hope that we get through this the way that grown humans should, by just being sensible and wearing a coat. Thank you again to my patrons who never got to see me on this week's secret live stream because the big freeze hit my internet connection. However, if you would like to become a patron or a ponderer of Lost in the Pond, you can do so today at patreon.com/lostinthepond or by clicking the join button below. Until the next video, goodbye.
I mean,
Under the
okay,
mistake.
I wasn't like, okay, this didn't sound that bad. I mean, Finland is pretty bad when it's winter time. There's a lot of snow work that has to be done. I don't know if where I am in Finland, it usually doesn't get like under 20 degrees. But it definitely is extremely cold. And the most annoying part is, like, at least to me, is when you go outside, and most times I don't know why, but I don't have gloves on, or maybe I do, but your hands get so cold that when you come inside to the warmth, it feels like your nails are going to fall off. And that's like, it's very disturbing. I don't like it. And also when the wind hits your face and it's like freezing cold, and you know, your eyelashes get frozen, and yeah. But I just feel like coming from Finland, this doesn't sound so bad. I mean, but yeah. I don't know how to react to this. I also, like, when I go to Finland in the wintertime, I spend most of my time indoors, and there's also like underground pathways in Helsinki, so you can get around the city underground. You don't even have to go to the surface if you don't want to, basically. So it's like they're really were very well prepared for it, and it's also so dark outside that you don't even want to go outside. Like, it's the sun goes up like at 10ish and goes down at like 2ish. So, and the rest of the time, like 10ish in the morning and 2ish in the daytime, it goes down. So most of the time you just spend your time indoors anyways. So yeah. But I mean, some people had to live through, like, have had to live through it, and also people that live on the outskirts. I remember my grandpa used to ski to his school, for example, in the wintertime, and it was a long way. Like, it was not just a few kilometers, it was a long way to get to his school. So that must have been crazy. But thank you guys for joining me for this video. Let me know how winter is for you, where you're at, and please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.